Hello everyone, and welcome to Reentry and Pathways to Desistance at Delaware Valley University. This class will be 100% online with asynchronous work. So I just want to give you a little intro video here as what to expect for the class. I will be your instructor, Dr. Davis. So if you need to reach me, my contact information is here. My email is brianna.davis@delval.edu, and that is the preferred method to contact me. You can also reach me by phone. The number up here is my personal cell phone, so I simply ask that you be mindful of the fact that I am an old lady at heart. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock at night, so I will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours of reaching out to me, but just be mindful that maybe it's not a good time to call or text after 9 o'clock at night. Maybe sending an email will be better there. Also, you can reach me by Zoom if you need to meet face-to-face, through the computer here to understand something better. You can go ahead and just shoot me an email, let me know, and we can set up a Zoom call. That's no problem at all. All right, what I want to do with the next couple minutes is just give you an outline here of sort of the highlights of what to expect throughout the semester, and you can find all this information in the syllabus as well. So do not panic. We're going to have 11 quizzes, basically one per week on the material, probably about 10 questions or so. And what's going to be great is you're actually going to be the ones creating the quizzes. I want to know what you found important out of the material. So you'll be creating the quiz questions. You will have 2 exams, a midterm and a final. The midterm is going to cover the first about 6 weeks of the class. The final will cover the next weeks of the class. So the final is not accumulative throughout the whole semester. One thing I want to note is that while the exams and the quizzes are all going to be open note because you're in your homes and I can't stop you anyway, it's not open internet. So please don't be Googling answers. I promise you I will be able to tell if it's an essay question or something where you have to write down an answer. I'm going to be able to tell if you Googled the question and just wrote down the first thing that came up. I've had students do that. So just please don't do that. All right, discussion boards. There will be 8 throughout the course, and what's important about the discussion boards is that this is a way for all of us to sort of communicate together and feel like we're in a classroom type setting and talk to one another because it is fully online. So there'll be 20 points each. You'll have an initial post, and then you'll have 2 replies due to your peers. I ask that you try to get your initial post in Thursdays by midnight. That really just gives your peers and your classmates a couple extra days to log back on and reply to one another, so everyone's not rushing last minute on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock trying to not only get their post done but get their replies in. So I'm also going to ask that you have complete and thorough posts. That doesn't mean responding, wow, I really like how you added 2 plus 2 to get 4. You know what I'm talking about. So I try to craft these discussion board questions and prompts in a way that it gives you the opportunity to have an opinion that's supported by the week's materials. So I want to know your perspective. What this does is that there's no true right answer necessarily. So it gives you the opportunity to agree with one another. Feel free to respectfully disagree with each other. Bring up additional points or other content that you can use to give to your peers to explain to them why maybe a different position you feel is more accurate. Do not be afraid to ask your peers questions. Just make sure that these posts are complete and thorough. This is really our way to discuss the week's topics with one another. All right, sorry, not sorry. You will have an experiential assignment. However, this is pretty much your big project for the semester. So it's not going to be terrible, I promise. So what you're going to do with this is you're going to interview someone who's currently working in the reentry field. I know that can sound a little scary, maybe having to reach out to somebody if you're not the most outgoing person. However, I will help you with this if you need help. So there's going to be 3 steps due throughout the semester. There's much more detailed information in Blackboard that you can find on each of these steps in the experiential assignment module. But essentially what it boils down to is the first step, you'll be developing interview questions for whoever you're deciding to interview. In step 2, you'll actually interview that person and then type up your transcript that the questions you asked and their responses. You'll also have to give me contact information for the person that you interviewed. I just want to make sure that we're not just making someone up here. So that's why I'm requesting the contact information. And then the third and final portion of this will be due at the end of the semester, where you're really going to either write me a paper or you're going to record a on the experience as a whole. You're going to talk about how the experience went of interviewing the person, and you're also going to tie in how it related to the material that we covered. Was the material spot on? Was what we learned completely opposite of how reentry works and how that looks in the real world? So I really want you to just talk about your experience. And again, there's many more details in the experiential assignment module in Blackboard. Attendance is going to be very important. So what I'm asking you to do is review all of the course materials in each week's module. Make sure you're going over everything. I try to be as detailed as possible when I'm writing out assignment instructions. But if you don't get something, feel free to reach out. Make sure that you're reading through the materials that are assigned for the week, that you're watching any video, into any podcasts. One thing and one little piece of advice I will give you here. I understand that it may appear on the course schedule that you have a lot of readings some weeks, but this is your opportunity to get familiar with the material and determine what's important. So maybe you want to look at what assignments are due for that week and what question the assignment is asking. And then when you're reading through the material, maybe you don't need to read the full research study. I would suggest when you're reading homeward to read those chapters in full, because that will be very important to hear and understand the stories of those who re-entered from the Boston Reentry study. But for the research studies, maybe you don't need to know what type of analysis they did. Maybe what I really want you to understand is what they were getting at with the study. What did the study show? What did we learn through that research? So you need to really pick apart what's important. The videos, maybe you don't need to watch the whole video, but the majority of it. So I throw a lot of information and material in there to just make sure that you have enough to cover and understand the topic that we're discussing for that week. So that is my little tidbit of advice. Accommodations. If you have a disability that you're requesting accommodations for, please make sure you contact the Disability Services Office with the school. And if you've already had approved accommodations, feel free to reach out to me so that we can discuss how I can best assist you throughout the semester to make this as easy and streamless and seamless as possible for you. I really want this to be a fun experience of learning about reentry and seeing how this practically applies to the real world, because at the end of the day, you all want to get jobs after graduating, I'm sure. So it's not just about learning and understanding the material. It's really about how can we apply this then in the real world, and what does that look like? So, any questions? Feel free to reach out. One thing I do want to mention too is I like to live my life by this theme or idea of giving grace. So I'm here to give you grace throughout the semester. While there are due dates for assignments, and I do expect you to meet those due dates and those deadlines, if something comes up in your life, if you have a major life event, please come talk to me. I am understanding. About 2 years ago, my dog became paralyzed. He had to go through surgery, and it was in the middle of the semester. I needed a lot of grace from my students to deal with that. So I understand life happens and things happen. And as you'll learn in a second here from me, I do also work full-time, and I teach a few classes as an adjunct on the side. So my life is pretty busy. I will do my very best to get assignments graded in a timely fashion for you guys, because I think it's important that if you're submitting assignments on time, that I'm getting back to you in a timely manner. But the same way that I will give you grace, I just ask that you give me grace throughout the semester. So just a little bit about myself. So I've spent the last about 10 years working in the field of probation and parole. I was with juvenile probation for about 7.5 years, and that was as a probation officer and as a supervisor. I did everything from supervising juvenile offenders on the street, seeing them in placements, to supervising victim services unit, community service unit, quality assurance, which actually is what leads me into what I'm doing now, which is the quality assurance supervisor for Berks County Adult Probation and Parole Department. So my job mainly requires me to make sure that officers to ensure the quality of officers' work and the services that they're delivering to offenders, but then also to roll out evidence-based practices. And you'll read about evidence-based practices a bit this semester. So making sure that we're rolling out those trainings, that we're rolling out those practices, those risk need assessments, all of those things that are going to help offenders be much more successful re-entering society than they would be without them. So there's a little bit about myself. What I'm going to have you do is tell me a little bit about you in your introduction videos. So the way I'm going to have you do this is you're going to give me something personal, something professional, and something peculiar about yourself. So I'll go first. So something personal about myself is, here is my dog, Echo. He is my love, my baby. He's my world. That's one personal fact about me. Another one is that here's some of my wedding pictures. We actually got married out in Oregon, and we hiked for our wedding, took everyone out onto a cliff that overlooked the ocean, and we got married out there. So that was a really fun, cool experience. And then a peculiar fact about me is that, as some of the ladies in the class may have also done, I learned to do my own acrylic nails over COVID. One, because we were stuck inside and I needed my nails done and the salons weren't open. And two, because it got a little too expensive. So that's a peculiar fact about myself, is that I learned to do my own acrylic nails. So I really look forward to working with all of you throughout the semester, to hearing your stories, hearing your experiences, even if you are currently out working in the field, if you know someone who's been through reentry, please share those stories. This is a safe, comfortable space to do that. And it really just helps show other students other aspects about reentry. So please feel free to share those examples and stories as well. And if you have any questions, if I haven't made anything clear, please feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to working with everyone.